Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. The time is 6:31 p.m. I'm John Dewanzik, and this is the regular meeting of the Avon Lake Board of Municipal Utilities. Tonight's meeting is being live streamed on Facebook and YouTube, and those outlets provide an opportunity for public input in the comment section. We also have a live public input available for people who are in the room tonight. So I should probably mention everyone who's here. The rest of the board is here with me. From my left, Mr. Mondello, Mr. Rush, and to the right is Mr. Ricky and Mrs. Schnabel. To my immediate right is Mr. Urinich, who is acting tonight in place of Mr. Monroe, who is on vacation and is excused. At the table in front of me, we have Tyler Berry from outside counsel, and we have Bill Logan from the finance manager here in the utility. Also in the audience tonight, we welcome Miss Amy Gentry, Mr. William Zimmerman, and Mr. Scott Voracek, and any of those visitors are welcome to the microphone at the time for public input. The full board is here. It takes 3 votes in favor of any motion that's made to pass it. All motions are made by voice vote, with the exception of a vote to go into executive session, which none is expected tonight. And I think, did I get everything, Mr. Ranges? Okay, so that's the perfunctory. So at this time, we'll begin with the matters of business. First off is to approve the minutes from the January 4th meeting. Are there any comments from the board?
Just January 6th.
Sorry, it's January 6th. I did the math wrong. And I can't even find my copy. Oh, here it is. Okay, so the January 6th, are any comments on those minutes? Hearing none, they are approved as submitted. The next order of business is public input. Does anyone in the audience like to address the board at this time? You have 3 minutes.
Yes. Just no, we would, but go ahead. Okay. Right here. Stick to my script here. So I'm here tonight because I'm concerned about how the sanitary sewer usage is currently billed, and more importantly, how inconsistent the rules and communication around that billing appear to be. Right now, the sewer charges are based on the assumption that all water goes through the sanitary sewer. That includes water used outside, garden hoses, lawn irrigation, washing vehicles, that clearly never enters the sewer system. This is not a measurement, it's an assumption. And an assumption results in customers being billed for sewer usage that never actually occurs. I understand the utility does not have deduct meter installed on most homes, but the lack of measurement should not default to a billing method that knowingly overcharges certain customers, particularly homeowners who responsibly use outdoor water. To offset this, the utility averages winter and spring water usage to determine summer sewer bills. On the surface, that sounds reasonable, but in practice, it creates another problem. If a homeowner uses the hose during winter or spring, on the warmer days in the spring particularly, it gets counted as sewer flow. Then, as summer arrives, that same outdoor usage is effectively charged a second time because it's baked into the average used to calculate the summer sewer bills. So customers are penalized twice for water that never actually entered the sewer system even once. It's not inaccurate, it's unfair. What makes it even more frustrating is the lack of consistent guidance. I've talked with 4 different representatives at Avon Lake Water, and 2 of them have told me deduct meters are not allowed. 1 of them told me deduct meters are allowed, and the person who does the deduct meters told me that I may be allowed to have one depending on whether or not I'm eligible for a survey. In addition, the representative, one of them told me that I couldn't have a deduct meter, told me that I could request a sewer adjustment if I tracked my water usage. So in good faith, I purchased meters for each hose, carefully tracked my usage. I called in to request the adjustment and I was told that there is no such adjustment. That inconsistency makes it difficult for customers to trust the system and understand their options. A utility billing structure should be transparent, consistent, and defensible. Not here to complain, I'm here to ask for clarity and fairness. Either allow deduct meters under clearly defined published rules, or adopt a billing method that does not knowingly charge sewer fees for non-sewer water. And additionally, ensure that all staff are providing the same accurate information to customers. Customers understand that the infrastructure costs money and are willing to pay our fair share. It's hard to accept being charged for usage that didn't happen under a system that even staff seem unsure how to explain. I respectfully ask the board to review this billing methodology, the deduct meter policy, and the customer guidance being provided. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Voracek. Anyone else?
Okay.
Mr. Zimmerman?
Not at this time.
Ms. Gentry? Okay. Thank you. Greg, is there anybody from the cyber world that has comments?
There is not.
Okay. All right. Let's see, the next item on the agenda is correspondence. Do you have any? Okay, thank you. Next item is the expenditures. We have two sets. One is the conclusion of 2025 and one is for the first part of 2026. Let's do the first one. Would someone like to make the motion?
I will.
Mr. Ricky?
I move to approve the Avon Lake Regional Water expenses for December 12th, 2025 through December 31st, 2025.
Thank you, Mr. Ricky. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Oh, let's let Mrs. Schnabel do it. Is there any discussion, Mr. Ricky?
Yes, just a quick, I got one of my questions answered just walking in the door. Satellite shelters, Greg, is that the trailers?
Correct.
I just wanted to see, I saw the satellite shelters on here, and you may want to explain what that is to the public, what we're doing there, and just so everybody understands.
So we are getting ready for a remodel of 201 Miller. The construction trailers that they had used as offices during the demolition of the power plant properties. Now that those are being vacated, we had looked into the difference in between renting temporary housing for our office staff and some of the senior leadership here, and just an outright purchase. And given the fact that they were already set up, they're in an accessible location with parking. Having construction going on here and still trying to get customers safely in and out, we felt that it made more sense both financially and logistically to just purchase those trailers that sit on property we now own. And we'll be able to use those for the duration of the contract. And if we do no longer have a use for them, there's various methods that we could go about then selling those after all of that was completed.
Okay,
No, I remember.
Is that satisfactory?
yeah, that's fine. And I had one other quick question.
Okay.
It shows up as item line number 2, a couple places here about part-time wages. Do we have part-timers working for us?
That does include the board. Just split
Oh.
one of the 4 funds.
Okay,
We do have 2 part-time employees, but one who just, an intern that just went back to school.
okay,
We have 1 part-time employee in the engineering department.
okay. I didn't know we had part-time employees, and then I guess that's where we fall.
And your salaries are
Gotcha.
divided among the 4 funds.
Explains it all. Thank you very much. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else? This is on the December 12th to 31st. Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And motion passes. Now I need a motion for January 1st to 15th. Would someone like to make them?
I will make a motion.
All right, Mr. Ricky.
I move to approve the Avon Lake Regional Water expenses for January 1st, 2026 through January 15th, 2026.
Thank you, Mr. Ricky. Is there a second? Mr. Mondello. Okay, discussion,
I did have a couple of questions.
Mrs. Schnabel.
Thanks. On the very last page, under Fund 704 and 724, the SIXMO, is that the design payments for the our renovations?
Correct.
Is that in its entirety or is that
No.
partial?
That's partial.
Okay,
And what
Oh, I'm
number
sorry.
again was that, Mrs. Schnabel?
I'm sorry, I was at the very bottom on Fund 704 and 724, lines 5 and 6 under 704, and lines 1 and 2 under 724. For
Okay.
SIXMO, like the separate, and I couldn't recall I'm sure we've discussed it, I just off the top of my head could not remember. Why is it split out into two, just
They're the
different?
architectural firm.
Yeah,
We treat 201 Miller basically with our distribution and collection fund and I'm sorry, sewer collection fund, water distribution fund. So we're not taking any of that expense, allocating it to the plants at all, to the other two plants, but just to 201 Miller, basically.
okay, and like, is this the first set of payments we've done for, or?
No, we have done others. I
Okay.
don't think they were recorded in 704 and 724, the previous payments.
Okay, and it's not done,
It were in the 722 and 723 funds, I think, the first couple of payments. No,
Oh.
it's not done. They're still in the design stage.
as far as payments, so correct,
Correct,
these are only
they're not-
partial
they're not
payments. Okay, yep, thanks.
Okay, anything else, Mrs. Schnabel?
No, this one. I
Anyone?
had.
But this way, okay, I would like to bring up a couple things just for information's sake. This is relating to the thing that Mr. Ricky claims to have been duly informed of on the way in, but I still have some questions. We have a couple of places here where we're in just the first week of January, we've used half of the budget, for example, Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation, compared to several places, and so on, where we're like, we've used half of the year. Am I to make the assumption, Mr. Urinich, or Mr. Logan, that this refers to semi-annual payments?
Annual payments, one payment, that's done.
Well, why do we have half the budget left then?
So we budgeted too much.
I dare say.
And I did that last year as well. No, they make one payment at the beginning of the year. They pay the premium for the entire year. I thought it was going to be a little higher this year than it was last year. I think it totals 38,000 this year and we budgeted around 70. So.
So we'll make adjustments later in the year.
Well, we
At which
can,
time?
as if you remember, when we transfer appropriations later in the year.
do
if we-
remember.
If we need to transfer appropriations within that category, the compensation category, we can do that.
Okay, so as an example, Mr. Ricky, this is a live example, like, where are we in the budget? Well, we shouldn't be halfway through the budget ordinarily. right?
That's a one time a year payment.
Okay, so you'll forgive my asking, Mr. Rush.
Very familiar with the system. Isn't there a true up report that needs to be done and isn't there adjustment made? at
The
that point?
city does that true up. I don't know how it shook out last year, to be honest, Mr. Rush. When I was doing true ups, when I was finance director, city of Avon, I mean, we always allowed a little more. So when you did that true up, you had the budget money there. So I think we have it if there were to be a larger true up, but I didn't see anything come through last year.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mondello.
You said we were off on the budget, but was that because, were you factoring in some of those vacancies that we had for part of the year last year?
Workers' comp? Not necessarily.
Okay.
No, it's just, I just thought there was more premium coming.
Or is there adjustment in their premium rate that they were charging us that,
That
cost
I
them the
don't know.
delta as well?
This is one of the expenses that I've not really seen any kind of visibility on the workers' comp. I know they have a third-party administrator and a managed care company. I don't even know who they are, to be honest, who they use for that, but 2 years now, it's been that I've been here, it's been an annual payment, just first of the year payment.
theoretically, Mr. Mondell, I would assume that if we're doing an outstanding job in safety, your workers' comp rate would
Should
go
be
down,
fine.
so maybe that's the case.
Yeah, just.
I think we can honestly say here, we had no claims filed in 2025.
All right. Well, anybody else with any questions? All right, all in favor of the motion on the January 1st to 15, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, now the ever popular Mr. Logan will walk us through the year-end financials. It's all, the screen is yours, Mr. Logan.
Thank you, sir. So in the packet is the December financial statements, which I wasn't gonna spend a lot of time going through those line by line or anything. This is a report that I've done each month. It's available if anybody would ever like to see the others, but the December one obviously is for the entire 12 months. So what I've handed out and what we'll kind of walk through in the PowerPoint is a summary of where we ended up for the year. So a couple of comments. That should be the first page.
Already went past, okay.
To start out, like I mentioned, I prepare the monthly financial statements every month like this. I always start it with a little 1 or 2 page verbiage, just kind of where we're at. It kind of helps me with forecasting and things like that. On a couple of comments with as we walk through here. I think the board knows, these are all unaudited. We'll call them unaudited financial statements. We've obviously not been audited yet, but we will be. There's an annual audit every year for the cities and all the utility funds. Also, these are all presented on a cash basis, which in your own business, Mr. Ricky, you're on a cash basis, but most businesses are on some sort of an accrual basis, but government, until you convert at year end, you convert over to what they call GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, and that the audit converts things over to an accrual basis. So the budget comparisons that we'll look at in here are all to the original 2025 budget. And we made certain appropriations, supplemental appropriations throughout the year that would have increased or even decreased certain line items. But these comparisons are all to that original budget. And it's like the final thing I guess I would mention before we look at these numbers. If the board remembers, we set up 2 new funds at the beginning of 25, funds 722 and 723, which is the sewer collection fund and the water distribution fund. We split out expenses and revenues from the historical 701 fund, which is the water plant, and the 721 fund, which is the sewer plant. So now we've got what I call these 4 major funds. So when we look at most of the numbers within the financials, it'll kind of concentrate around those 4 major funds. You go to the page, Craig. Could be, there we go. And now the next page. All right. So basically within here, and I can stand up, talk about this a little better maybe. Just going to cover revenue real briefly, the expense budget. And again, all these comparisons are to the original 25 budget. We're not looking at any 26 budget info here. The expense coverage ratios that I was talking about with Mr. Ricky a little bit earlier, cash reserves, bank balances, and these are the notes I just sort of kind of talked about briefly. So this is just the water revenue. This is the total water sales for the year. Revenue was 14.3 million. Hopefully we had budgeted 13.8. 2024 was about 12.5 million. This is the quarterly billing, basically Avon Lake residents and businesses, and then the monthly bulk sales, mainly to the other governments around the area. Primarily Avon, North Ridgeville, Medina County, rural Lorain County Water, Sheffield Lake. And then there's a few larger commercial accounts in the monthly billing. Avient and Ford get billed on a monthly basis. So this is the total of those 2 sets of billing. Sewer similarly, now sewer revenues weren't as high, did not reach the budget. It slightly exceeded a year ago. Again, the same sort of setup, the quarterly billing, you can see we actually were a little bit less than a year ago. One thing I'll mention with the sewer, the rates in 2025 did not go up, nor did the minimum go up in 25. Or I'm sorry, the minimum did go up $1.16, the first 2,000 gallons. Whereas the water rates, I should have mentioned it a second ago, the water rates did go up 4% from 2024 to 2025. And that water, 2,000 gallon minimum went up by $1.59. On the sewer side, no rate increase, but the minimum went up $1.16. So the quarterly billing, you can see we did fall a little short of a year ago. On the monthly commercial billing, we exceeded a year ago, but did not hit the budget numbers. The budget, the sewer revenue budget for 2025 was about a 9% increase over 2024, which looking back now seems a little aggressive. But the water revenues did meet that budget. Sewer revenues, not quite. And again, I'm sorry, Greg, go back 1 second. Sorry about it. These are all in the $8 to $9 million range, not as high as what the water revenues were. So there's just the numbers on the revenue side. Utility billing, water, sewer, total. Breaking it out by the quarterly billing, which again is the Avon Lake, the 9,000 residents and businesses in Avon Lake that are billed. And then the monthly billing to the commercial and the bulk government accounts. So the graphs that we just looked at encompass these numbers. On the expense side, we did stay under the budget for the year by about $3 million in total. This is broken out into the major categories. So compensation being the largest or the one at the top of the list all the time, which includes all the benefits as well. And again, compensation is only recorded in the 4 major funds that I was talking about. So we were under budget by quite a bit. One of the main reasons we were under budget so much there, I think somebody brought it up earlier, is that there were 2 positions in the budget we did not hire at all. One was a senior engineer, and the other, I believe, was a lead maintenance technician. Another reason was we went about 6 months without an engineering services manager. So when Mr. Gaydar retired in May, we didn't hire an engineering services manager until mid to late November. So that is another reason that we came under budget there for compensation. And another big reason really is even though the health insurance premiums in 25 went up by 5%, our overall claims, and I think the finance people at City Hall would tell you the same thing, the overall claims weren't as high. I mean, they were basically managed very well. So we basically saved on not having the people in place for a lot of the year, health insurance, and then obviously the OPERS part of it, which is 14% of all the wages. So those are the reasons we came in under budget for the compensation side. Operating expenses, we were also under budget by about 10%. I don't think that's necessarily any 1 or 2 things you can point to. We didn't buy enough of this or we didn't buy enough of that. Excuse me. I think it's just more of a kind of call it a conservative budgeting approach. Capital expenditures, the same sort of thing. Now this would include capital expenditure line would include all of our vehicle lease expense, which is now it's about $25,000 a month now in our capital leases on the vehicles we've taken in over the last couple of years. But we didn't really purchase a lot of equipment or machinery or any vehicles. We're leasing all the vehicles. So we came in pretty well under budget with that. The capital projects now Fund 704, Fund 724, that's where the larger projects are, the water plant improvement project, the water bundle, the 2025 water bundle, which got underway a few months ago in September, October. This year is going to be a number of things within those budget lines, but that was very predictable. We basically hit the budget or came in under, very, very slightly by about 1%. Property acquisitions, we had budgeted $3 million for 2025. The last one, I guess the second to the last one that came into play over next to the water plant on the west side of the water plant there was the Brugger property. That closed early last year, right about this time last year. And that was funded out of our fund 701. Other than that, there was the very small purchase of the Cough property late in the year for the $5,000, that sliver of land. But those were the only two property acquisitions in 2025. Debt service funds, that's very predictable. I kind of made one small mistake. That's why we were off by about 40,000 or so there. With one of the OWDA loans, I had only half of it in the budget. So that's why that number is a little higher, 0.6% higher than budget. But basically, again, total expenses, we did come in, almost $3 million under the budgeted amount. Now, comparing to 2024, our expenses are much higher, and our capital projects, you can see, much higher than they were a year ago. Compensation higher, operating expense. So, we're growing. I mean, the revenues are growing, the expenses are growing. But I think we're budgeting fairly well and trying to stay within those budgets. Any questions forward or anybody?
Anyone? Go on.
So these are just a couple sheets that show ratios. I mean, I'm 15-year government bean counter, so I kind of have always have looked at some of the things like this. And these things, like I was telling Mr. Ricky earlier, the rating agencies like to see this kind of stuff. So I went back, showed it for 4 years. So this is what I found, we're calling expense coverage, basically how much unencumbered money you have in your funds. If no more revenues came in, how many months can you pay your normal operating expenses? So as of the end of 2025, it's about 14 and a half months. So we had enough money in our, again, those four major funds to basically cover a little over a year's worth of expenses. Now, after factoring in property acquisitions and debt service costs, that drops down to almost 10 months. So that's still fairly healthy. The Government Finance Officers Association, Ohio GFOA, or actually the National GFOA, they like to see anywhere from like 5 to 6 months covered in your general fund. Now that's for a normal city government. As a utility, basically these are our general funds. So then the second one is just the fund balance, basically as a percentage of annual revenue. So this kind of just says what you've saved, so we took in revenue again in these four major funds of $25.5 million in 2025. And we didn't spend 16.6 million of it. We kept that. That's in our fund balance as of the end of the year, which is 65% of the revenue. And you can see that's been pretty consistent somewhat over the 4 years. I think it dipped in 2024 a little because of the property acquisitions that were in for that year. But other than that, it's been pretty consistent.
To what extent, Mr. Logan, is that number used in determining budgets for the subsequent year?
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
To what extent, since you're so consistent with it, to what extent are you using that to forecast budgets for the coming year?
I mean, I forecast right in that same range, 60 to 65%.
So it is
that we
it does
end up
have an
with.
effect on the coming year as well.
It does, correct. Our debt service isn't going up, not this year. Some other property acquisition type expenses might take it down a little. This is the last page, I think. This is just basically where our cash is as of the end of the year. $35.6 million in total. Most of it's in Star, Ohio, which as of today is now down to 3.82%. But 27.1 million is in Star. The other 8.4 million is in Huntington. If you recall, when I've talked about Huntington Bank in the past, we the utility funds need to carry about $3.5 to $4 million in Huntington to kind of cover off all the fees and to basically have reserves there for expenses. Right now, we've got about twice what we need there. I work pretty closely with the finance director at the city, and, you know, at the right time, we can move more of that money into STAR if needed. Now, the beginning of the year, which this doesn't reflect, we just paid our first of semi-annual OWDA debt payments. So we just paid out about $4 million for the OWDA loans. The second payment comes due at the 1st of July. So that number, the 35.6, is now more like 31 million until we get more revenues coming in and then one. One other comment I would make, the board remembers, we are set up as is the city with Fifth Third Securities. I would like to come to the board sometime in the next few meetings with a resolution to have the board allow us to start investing funds with the board's approval into Fifth Third Securities, where we can lock into a little more 2 to 3 year type investments. I think we've got the reserves to do that. Lock in rates with certain investment instruments and not solely rely on STAR. But again, STAR is still at 3.82, but it's gonna keep dropping. Probably by this time next year, it might be a full percentage point less than that.
Before you go on, Mr. Logan, it's fine to bring that to the board. It's on planned date. I would say that since you would be asking for a motion on that, you would want to give the informational session a meeting or two before the
Yes.
vote, so people can consider it and so on and so forth. One of the considerations, as I would imagine it, is that other entities in the state of Ohio are using the Star Ohio Fund, and I assume we'll be using the Fifth Third and so on and so forth. So one of the things the board, of course, will be interested in is the relative risk in each one, you know, based on who the investors are and so on.
Well, STAR is the state treasury asset reserve. It's backed by the treasury of the state of Ohio. It's like a large money market, what it is. The Fifth Third investments would be notes and other instruments, mostly federally backed type instruments that we could invest in. STAR is completely safe, and you're right. I think almost every local government in Ohio has used STAR or has money in STAR right now.
So by your expressed interest in Fifth Third investments, you're also expressing an interest in sharing risk between two funds, correct?
Correct.
So then some ensuing information for the board would be helpful.
Absolutely. I believe that's it. Any
Questions for the very thorough Mr. Logan from the board? Mr. Mondell.
Just a quick comment, not really any questions, but you know, on the revenue side, to be within 0.5% of budget, and then you strip out the capital expenditure line on the expenses, and you're within 2% on the favorable side for the entire year is pretty you know, it's pretty remarkable on, you know, something this size. So, you know, great work on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, one thing that we've gotten a lot better at is you know, how faithful we are to our budgets and so on. So again, like Mr. Mondello said, we appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Very good.
It makes it a little bit more straightforward, even in terms of these percentage left in the budget to, you know that we have, and I didn't give your correct title, business and financial coordinator. It doesn't jump out at me like what your title is. It's Bill Logan.
One last comment, I guess, on the financials I should have brought up earlier too, is that now that we're in our second year of having these new funds, when we start comparing now, we've got a full year to compare to, whereas this last year, we really had nothing to compare to other than a budget. So this year, I think it's going to mean a lot more by having historical numbers, even if
Mhm.
it's only for 1 year.
Right,
So these funds will start making a little more sense.
right. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Mondell?
Nope.
Anyone else?
No, just thank you so much, because I feel like I have such a clearer picture
Yeah.
than before you were working here on the money, that I really appreciate all you do for us and the work that you put into this, because it does make it very easy to understand for someone who does not have a finance background like myself. So thank you.
Anyone? Okay. Let's move on to project updates. Mr. Urinich, sort of your overlapping job.
Since Rob's not here to steal my pictures this time, I do have some this week. So at the water plant, this is a picture from the basement of new filters. They have completed a lot of the process piping. The lines that bring in the settled water from earlier in the plants, the lines that will collect the filtered water. And then the lines that carry any, if we had to drain the filter, or when we wash a filter, carry it to the waste. They have made those connections. The only main connection they have left to do is the surface wash. It's a smaller pipe, but they'll be getting to that in the coming weeks here.
This is all brand new, what we're seeing in the picture.
Correct. Kind of a mirror image of what the previous filters were, but they have made those connections. For the most part, you're done with any major plant shutdowns.
Okay. All right. Any questions for Mr. Urinich? Mr. Rush?
No.
Couldn't tell whether you were
Okay.
sort of raising your hand. Okay, go on, Mr. Urinich.
So this is a picture from the upper level of what will be filters number 25 and 27. They've, as you can see, made quite a bit of progress as far as forming the parts of the filters that will contain all of the media that will filter the water. This is looking down into those same two filters. One of the things that we wanted to note during the previous four filters, I believe in 2002, they had paired each of the filters together. They shared an influent, a drain. It saved a little bit of money because there was slightly less piping, but it provides a much bigger disruption to the plant. When we wash one of those filters, we're basically losing 10 million gallons per day of filter capacity. At times in the summertime, that would be kind of detrimental. You'd actually have to slow the plant down. So that was something we wanted to address with these. These are all individual filters. They can be run independently of each other. So that was one of the things that we felt was important with this expansion. Moving on to the new chemical feed building. This is a sodium hypochlorite room, the bleach. And they've gotten the walls painted, a lot of the HVAC ductwork in there. They're at the point now they're applying an epoxy coating to the floors and the containment areas. You'll see kind of the circular forms. That's where the tanks will sit. And then there will be grating installed. And underneath that is secondary containment. If there was any damage to the tanks, if it leaked, it would all be contained within that area and could be recovered that way.
Now, how would you get the tanks into there? Is there an opening?
There's an opening in the roof, a big skylight area where they're lowering those things.
Is that permanently a skylight or just a temporary?
It will permanently be if.
So
whatever
you
need
change
to.
the tanks and all that,
Correct.
okay. And I think that itself is an improvement over the prior situation, right?
Yeah.
You would have actually remove roofing, so, okay, a
Um,
little more thought through type of thing.
kind of like the raw water building, when we had the screen replacement, that had similar type of skylights above that area that you just remove those and used a crane to get the.
Good, good.
This is looking at the motor control center, the MCC, for the new chemical feed building. This will handle all the power and the controls for the new equipment there. There's kind of another view of that same room. So that was everything for the water plant. There were-
Wow, that went by fast. We have to load them up with some more. Pretty brief. Okay, any questions for Mr. Urinich,
Yes.
Mr. Rush?
In the event of power outage, what happens with chemical feed? Is it really shut off, or power to restore them? What's the process?
So if there was a power outage, we have two power feeds that come into the plant. We have half the equipment on one of the power feeds, half on the other. So if we only lose one, half of the plant will still be running. There's an automatic tiebreaker that will connect the side that does not have electricity to the side coming in. If we were to lose both sides, complete power outage, we have a generator that is capable of running, I think, at 80% capacity of the entire plant. In that case, things would have to be manually restarted. But that's just something that the operators prepare for. We have standard operating procedures for that. So they are very knowledgeable of, in the event of an outage, they go through step by step, check all of the equipment, restart anything that needs to be reset. And like I said, we have the capability of running off the generator as long as we can keep getting diesel fuel in there. And I know, was it 2004 when we had a wide-ranging blackout? I mean, they were operational through that entire time.
So in the event of a power outage, all chemical feed ceases until power is restored.
Correct.
Okay,
If we lost everything,
correct.
and then it would just be a matter of restarting it in a controlled manner.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay,
Moving on to the Tech Wind project, we're still kind of in a holding pattern on that. We have not received the results from the National Sanitation Foundation yet. They're not getting it done as quickly as we'd hoped they would. Jason and I both have been checking every morning, but as soon as we get results from that, we'll share that with the board.
they're aware that we have an urgent, interest in it.
Yes. And then moving on to the 2025 water bundle project. Parkland Drive, Bonneview Drive, and Colony Drive have had all storm and water main work completed. Drummond Road has had its new main installed, and that's going through the acceptance testing. They've kind of been on hold this week just due to those temperatures. They've obviously not been ideal for water work at this time. But they plan on getting going again here very quickly.
Okay,
They were still very far ahead of schedule, so this will not affect their completion.
okay. Any questions on that? Okay, anything else, Mr. Urinich?
I do not have anything else.
Okay, you are still up though. CUO report, anything there?
I do not have anything to share at this time.
Okay, how about members with reports? Mr. Ricky,
Yes, I attended the Lorco meeting last Thursday night, I believe it was. Yeah, I guess it was last Thursday. And just some interesting things that came out. Most of the meeting was used to discuss, there seems to be some confusion between the mega site project, and I use that in quotes because I know nothing about that, and Clearwater. As far as apparently there's been some news articles that have gotten Lorco a little excited that they're supporting the mega site and that they have not ever voted on that to support it. So there seems to be some contention between the Lorco organization and the mega site organization, making sure everybody knows they're totally different projects. And that's what they need to clarify with the county. And even our public officials apparently are a little mixed up on it and made comments in the paper that have caused some distress amongst the Lorco board. Lorco reported that in December of 2025, they had 1,544 customers. In January of 25, they had 1,505. So they netted 39 customers last year. They increased their service load, 39 customers. And then apparently 2 of our technicians were out there and realized that two homes, Lorco's been going on quite a while, that two homes have been demolished for other reasons. And they followed up on it and found out they didn't contact customer service to get the right inspections done. So Lorco is approaching the contractor involved to do an inspection to make sure they were capped off properly, to make sure no I are draining into some sewer laterals. So that's going on. So net less two, I guess they ended up with 37 new customers then, just so you know, there's that number juggles around a little bit. I did a little research, and just for information purposes, in January of 2015, when I was on the board, they had 1,108 customers, and now they're up to 20 or 1544. So over that 11-year period, they gained 436 less two, so 434. And if you do the math, that they came in this year about the same as they've been averaging, about 39 customers per year since their existence, over the average of their existence. So from 15 through 25. So just some interesting numbers came out of that.
Okay,
Otherwise, they have another meeting coming up in February, second Tuesday, and I plan on attending. And that's it. Everything else was dealt with Cinnamon Lake, which of course we have nothing to do with.
okay, any questions for Mr. Ricky? Any members with anything else to add? Mrs. Schnabel?
Just a couple of comments. Mr. Borisek already left, so I feel bad that I didn't have a chance to say something, but as community outreach or relations, like actually I was involved in a post on Facebook that he commented on and I had kind of commented on, so I'll follow back up with him and make sure we kind of like talk through. He did have some good points about the billing, and that's something I have been involved in over the years, because we went from a system where we felt it was difficult to read your bill to now we have an explanation in the bill. But for many people, it is still a difficult calculation, but we do have it, I feel, better explained. But I will work with him to get some of those questions answered about the meters and so forth, and just kind of follow back up, see if we can get like some kind of resolution to some of his questions. So
Thank you for
Yeah.
bringing that up. I was gonna bring up the same thing, at least from the standpoint of, let's see, what I don't like hearing is that he's being told three different
Correct.
things. Somebody ought to get their story
Correct.
straight.
Yeah,
Yes,
we need
that is-
we need to look into that.
Yeah.
That most
So
certainly.
that's something to communicate with Rob.
yeah, so I'll get with
Yeah.
him and Rob and whoever, and
Right.
just
I mean,
make sure we
The
discuss.
more you know, the more you'll be able to,
Correct.
deal with them, but I would not recommend debating it on.
No, no,
social media.
no,
No.
I don't debate with people on social media, but I do try to respond, because I feel that, that is a part of my job, is if there's something I can try to clarify for people, but I won't engage in like debating over things. I'll just provide information, and then I can always encourage them to reach out. And so I do try to keep it very just informational, and I just happened to remember his name when
Yeah.
he announced that he was here, that he was in the same thread with a similar
I
question.
do remember his grandfather, he said,
Yeah.
was on the board before I came to the board, and I just, when he first said it, I didn't hear him well enough to hear what it is you heard me pronounce his name. Oh yeah, that I know who that is. But
Yeah.
anyway, Mr. Ricky, what do you have?
Yeah, I'm sorry he left, because I wanted to compliment him on coming before us today, as well as Mr. Zimmerman and Mr. Phillips. At least they're not going behind anonymous
Names.
posts on social media. They're coming and voicing their opinions and letting us, not afraid to let us know who's saying what, as opposed to some of the threads that were out there that I actually reached out to Mrs. Schnabel and said, you need to look at this. And she had already just had looked at it, that there's some anonymous people putting stuff out there that is absolutely not true at all. And we can't even reach out to them to help clarify it, where at least if they're coming here, we can reach out and try to make sure everybody's got the facts. And it is a little disturbing that we're getting different stories. So we definitely need to follow up with that a little bit. But again, I admire the people at least come and look us in the face and tell us what they think, as opposed to hiding behind some anonymous Goldfish 22 or whatever it was, and was speaking about things that were just factually not even close to being correct. And Mrs. Schnabel did a great job of informing them that was not factual at all. So
Okay,
again,
thank you, Mr.
Yep.
Ricky. Anyone else? Comments on the foregoing? Okay, right now we are at the place where it's time for public input again, I believe. First of all, anyone in the audience?
Oh. We're having our building and utilities meeting on Monday, so I didn't know if I'm going to extend the offer. If you're interested in coming, it's the beginning part of our city council meetings now, so it'll be at 7 o'clock.
On the 26th.
The 26th, yeah. And this is something that I've heard from my parents also about this exact situation, and I had neglected to bring it up. So if you could get back to
Yep.
me, and maybe if you're prepared for Monday to talk about that in the meeting, I can add it to the agenda. If you need some more time, we can do it in February.
Sure.
If
I'm gonna
we don't
guess more
have-
time simply because
Yeah.
Rob's out of the country,
Understood.
you know, and like, just to make sure we're all
Yeah.
on the same page with things.
Yeah, so I,
Well,
before I
I'll
threw it out
coordinate.
there-
and-
Okay, so before
of
I
us will
threw
get
it out
back.
there on the agenda, I wanted to
Mm.
see if that was enough time or if we need.
Yeah, we can talk, but I'm just with Rob. Is he out the whole week this week still? Okay, all right, so maybe, we'll get back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks a lot.
Before we go on, Mr. Zimmerman, are you gonna?
I will.
Okay, I just want to ask Mr. Urinich, is there a way to amplify that microphone? Because it's, depending on how loud the person is, it's hard to hear. You know, Mr. Voracek was hard to hear. So if there's a way to amplify that slightly, not like,
right.
not
Maybe
Memorex, but like,
we'll try.
yeah.
Maybe.
Mr. Ricky.
Yeah, just real quick, and maybe Mr. Logan can answer this question. Are there any other cities that offer a discount for wastewater usage during summer months like we do? That's a question that I'd like to kind of know. And then I think another number that would be very handy for Mrs. Gentry would be, how much money are we saving Avon Lake customers by that reduction for that 3-month period? Over, you know, through the, somewhere that I would think would be available, but I think that would be very helpful to publicize that the discount we give, number one, is not a general. I know of no other cities that do that. I mean, the local municipalities, maybe Greg does. But I don't know of any. And then how much money is really involved that we're saving our residents by offering that discount. So those are just things that may be worth digging into when you got free time. No, that's all, Mr. Chairman. That's all I.
Thank you.
Thought I
Mr.
agree.
Zimmerman.
Amy has something she'd like to say.
Okay.
Having moved from Avon, I believe Avon splits that so that there is a difference between, your water meter and what was going into your sewer. I'm not sure how it worked. They installed something.
They have deduct meters.
They have, certain people have them, not everybody though.
I think
They offer
They
to
offered it to
Yes.
people that could sign up for
They
it.
offer pool credits as well, like as we
We do too.
So,
Pool credits.
I think what Mr. Ricky was saying is the automatic average for that summer billing
Yeah.
period, that gets applied to everybody.
Everybody, whether you have a deduct meter or not.
No, without a deduct.
Yeah, without a
Or
deduct.
without a deduct
Right.
meter, I'm sorry, you're correct.
It's good.
I'm just.
It is. It's like.
Thank you, William Zimmerman. I'd like to thank Mr. Logan for giving another insightful presentation. I seem to be able to attend him when he's up there giving his spiel about all the numbers, and I truly appreciate that. Because there's a lot of information that you covered. The only information I have questions about, again, is where's the the 14 to $15 million worth of receivables from Lorca. I don't find that anywhere on any of the ledgers. And I don't understand why that's gone away. Now, I understand that the 6119 if it ever be rejuvenated, which I understand the commissioners are talking about something again, which many of us here in the city of Avon Lake have said it'll never happen. I don't understand how the 5 of you voted to advance it, because that was not in the best interest of the citizens of the city of Avon. Never was. It's the worst deal I've ever seen on paper. But I also have a question in regards to the debt payments. Are our debt payments part of the debts of Lorco? So I don't understand if that's the case. We're financing what I would consider to be 95% of their operation in the past. I don't know if that's a factual number, my estimates. I can't prove that. I don't have Mr. Logan looking it up for me. But my point is that these people owe us a ton of money and we're never trying to get it. That to me is a problem, because that means you don't care or you're trying to sweep it under the rug. And if that's the case, then we're talking about corruption, because the people at the county level and from the state senator and his mother that I've spoken to, they're talking about trying to find a way to get the 6119 under one entity so that all of those kinds of debts would go away. And that's not what business is about. And Avon Lake deserves to have 14 to 15 million dollars in their coffers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. Regarding that, Mr. Logan, in the last meeting, when you gave these items, you indicated that the matter that Mr. Zimmerman was referring to is accounted for, and it isn't.
The receivable,
I think you might have been absent, Mr. Zimmerman.
I was not here last meeting.
Okay, well, Mr. Logan will, if you don't mind, in brief, this isn't a debate, but
the
he will be able
receivable,
to tell you.
Avon Lake, of which we're part of, that same entity. Avon Lake on their 2024 audited financial statements has a receivable from Lorco for that vicinity. Lorco's financial statements, their last audit covers the years 2021, 2022. It's going to be released next Tuesday for the state auditors. I've been waiting for it. But they will reflect, as of the end of 2022, a payable to Avon Lake. Now, that number is going to be a little less because their audit's a couple of years ago. So both entities are aware. As far as there are 2 loans, OWDA loans, that are in the name of Avon Lake that are for Lorco infrastructure. Lorco, however, the custodial fund we manage on our books, the Lorco custodial fund, pays the debt service for those loans. So that's not adding to a receivable. That debt service is paid with Lorco funds.
Okay.
And I appreciate the insight, because I've never heard any of this information before.
You are welcome to the information. We have nothing else tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Oh, wait, before we adjourn, do we have anything from the cyber world? Okay, I thought so, but motion to adjourn? Second? Second by Mr. Rush. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thanks for the time.